History is a river. It flows, it carves canyons, it changes course. But where does the story of war begin? Not the first conflict, mind you. That's lost to the mists of prehistory. I'm talking about the first time someone wrote it all down, the first time we get names, places, and narrative. For that, we travel back, way back. Back to a time when bronze was king empires were forged by the will of god kings. We land in the year 1457 BC. Ink hits the papyrus, the Battle of Megiddo. Not just a battle, the genesis of military history. The world of the 15th century BC was a complex web of power. The Egyptian empire under the mighty 18th dynasty was the superpower of its day. Its influence, its culture, and its military might for decades, the city-states of the Levant, what we now call Syria, Lebanon, Israel, paid tribute to the pharaoh. They sent gold timber goods, bowing to Egypt's authority. But power is a fragile thing. When the great female pharaoh Hatshepsut ruled, she focused on trade and prosperity, not war. Her reign was long and peaceful, but peace can sometimes be mistaken for weakness. The memory of Egyptian military might had faded in the minds of the Canaanite rulers. Upon Hatshepsut's death, her stepson, Thutmose III, took the throne. He was young, untested. A grand coalition was formed. At the heart of this conflict are two opposing figures on one side. You have the king of Kadesh. We don't know his name. The Egyptian records, predictably, don't bother to grant him that dignity. He is simply that wretched enemy of Kadesh. But he was a shrewd political operator. He saw the transition of power in Egypt as a window of opportunity. He managed to do what few had done before: unite the fiercely independent and often warring Canaanite city-states, Syrian city-states into a single, cohesive military alliance. He was a charismatic leader, a rebel with a cause who convinced dozens of other princes that their moment of freedom was at hand. He was the architect of the rebellion. His strategy was sound. By uniting their forces, the Canaanites could field an army that could, they hoped, match the Egyptians. They chose their ground well. Upon reaching the edge of the Carmel Ridge, a mountain range that stood between his army and the city of Megiddo, Thutmose III faced a critical decision. His generals presented him with three options. There were two main roads that went around the mountains, one to the north, one to the south. These were the safe routes. They were also the obvious choices. The Canaanite coalition would have scouts watching these roads, and they would be waiting, ready for a conventional battle on the plain. Then there was the third option, a choice so dangerous it seemed insane. This was the Aruna Pass, a narrow, winding path that cut directly through the mountains. The Egyptian sources describe it as being so tight that the soldiers would have to march in single file, horse after horse and man after man. An ambush in this pass would be catastrophic. The Egyptian army would be strung out, vulnerable, and unable to form a battle line. His generals begged him not to take it. They pleaded with him, saying, "How shall it be to go upon this road which becomes so narrow? The enemy is there waiting, and they hold the way against a multitude." This was the moment that defined Thutmose III's genius. He understood something his generals did not: the psychology of his enemy. With unwavering confidence, Thutmose III made his decision. As Thutmose III had predicted, the gamble paid off spectacularly. The Egyptian army emerged from the Aruna Pass into the rear of the Canaanite forces. They were positioned to guard the main roads. The surprise was absolute. The Canaanite kings scrambled to form a hasty battle line. The clash on the plain before Megiddo was short and brutal. The disciplined Egyptian army, led by their warrior pharaoh in his gleaming electrum chariot, the Canaanite line shattered. They began to plunder. The king of Kadesh and other leaders escaped. Thutmose was furious. The decisive victory became a long siege. They dug a moat. They built a wooden palisade. Megiddo was cut off. The siege lasted 7 months. Inside, the rebels slowly starved. Eventually, the kings surrendered. Victory was total. The Battle of Megiddo cemented his reputation and launched campaigns that filled Egypt's treasuries.